Hello everybody. What I'm going to do right now is show you how I'm taking care of some of my peppers. One of my plans this year is that I had so many peppers that I'm going to do my own powders. So I'm going to dry these cayenne and make my own cayenne pepper powder. And I'm going to do the same thing with these paprika peppers. These will become paprika. I've wanted to do my own paprika for a while. I just thought it would be fun. So I'm going to prep all these peppers and show you what I'm doing to make my own paprika. And I'm also going to show you what I've done to preserve most of my harvest this year. Anybody who's seen all the vegetables I've harvested knows that one person can't possibly eat that many tomato sandwiches. So basically what I'm going to do right now is just prep my peppers. You can see these peppers here, these red peppers, these are paprika peppers. I have Luchauer paprika peppers and I have Alma paprika peppers. And what I'm going to do is cut them in half, clean them out, and put them in this bowl. That's it. It's the first part of pepper prep. As you can see, I am definitely wearing gloves for this. These aren't the world's hottest peppers, but they're hot enough. And the last thing I really want to do is stick my finger in my eye later or something if I haven't gotten all the capsaicin off. Now, I am having to cut off a few spots as I go through here. As you can see, a little bit of rot. I don't want any of that in my paprika. So either way, I'll get on with this and show you what I've got when I'm done. All right, well, you can see that I am almost done cutting up all of the paprika peppers. This is an Alma pepper. I didn't show one before, but you can see that there's a big difference in the meatiness between a Luchauer paprika pepper and one of these Alma paprika peppers. These are super thick and the seeds in the core is packed in there. You really have to get your thumb in there to get this apart, which I'm gonna yank this out and clean this one out real quick. This is the last little piece. And there it is, all cleaned out, ready to go. This entire bin is paprika peppers. That's why they're mixed up. There's no need for me to separate the two. They're gonna go through the same exact process and they're gonna get mixed together in the end. So they may as well just sit here in this bowl. Now I can move on to cleaning up some of my other peppers. All right, well, the next peppers I'm gonna clean are these green chili peppers. These are Anaheim chilies or they are Big Jim chilies. I'm not entirely sure what they all are, but they're close enough to being the same thing that it doesn't really matter that much. I'm going to prep these the same way that I prepped the paprika peppers. And these are also going to be made into a powder. I just don't have the storage space to store large quantities of diced pepper or anything like that. So drying these out and making them into a seasoning seems like the best option. So basically, same thing that I did before, cut it down the middle, clean out the seeds, take the stem off the top, that helps. And once it's cleaned up, toss it in the bin. Anyway, I'll be back when it's done. Okay, well, as you can see, I'm done cutting up the chilies. Now I'm gonna put the chilies and those paprika peppers into the fridge and get on with the cayenne. Cayenne peppers. I have a lot. Although some people probably wouldn't call that a lot, but this to me is a lot of peppers to clean. But I'm gonna save the hottest for last. I'm gonna clean these cayennes and put them in this bag, and then I will show you the rest of the prep later. Let's go through just one real quick. Get a cayenne pepper. I cut the top off the cayenne I run right down the middle, and then I use my thumb to pull out the center. They're simple to clean. I'm gonna just throw them back in this bag when I'm done. Won't hurt anything. And basically, that's my process. I saved the hottest peppers for last. Well, you didn't think that the next step in making paprika or drying peppers was going to be outside, did you? Anyway, as you can see, what I have here is an electric smoker. I removed the heating element from it. A lot of people say that smoked paprika is better than plain paprika. So I, of course, decided to go all out and make my own smoked paprika. At the same time, I feel like smoking those chilies and smoking the cayenne will also be a good flavor additive. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up this electric smoker, and I've removed the heating element from it, and instead I'm going to use this little tray. These little trays are sometimes used to add extra smoke to within a smoker, or you can use them to cold smoke things. Like, it's not going to get hot enough to cook anything. It's just going to be hot enough to, well, not hot enough, it's just going to generate smoke. So really all I'm going to do is smoke my peppers. I'm not going to cook them, and it's going to take hours. So I'm just going to get this started. And one of the issues that I have, I'm just setting this up right now. I won't light it until I actually come out here with the peppers. But one of the issues that I have with this smoker is that it's actually doesn't have a whole lot of surface area for me to put things in. So I'm going to set this up. I'll be able to light it through this hole here at the bottom. I'll just stick my torch right through and fire this thing up. And if it doesn't work that way, well, I'll just take the lid off. I'm using barbecue pellets. These are pure peach. I don't know why I'm using peach. It's just what I happen to have. I'm not a professional smoker. I don't do a lot of this stuff on a daily basis at all, to tell you the truth. But this is just a fun experiment for me, and I know it works because I did smoke a batch prior to today's batch. So anyway, let's show you how this goes together. The next piece is the column. I'm going to set that right on top. There you go. And it has two racks. You can see one right here. Sit in here. And the second one sits up top. Now these are fine, but really this is like just two pieces of surface area for hanging something to smoke on. The only other thing I have that goes in here is this bowl, and that's really to catch meat drippings, and we're not cooking, so we don't have any meat drippings. And I have, of course, the lid. So I'm gonna have to be creative in order to get the most surface area possible, and that is where we go on to the next step. Okay, so what am I gonna do in order to save space in that smoker? The idea I had was to take this fishing line. God, the capsaicin in the air is actually getting into my throat. I'm going to take fishing line. I'm going to tie it to this paper clip first. Make a knot. Probably shouldn't have put the gloves on before I did this, but you know, it's fine. This is a pretty heavy fishing line because that's just what I have lying around the house. Okay, so I've got fishing line there, and I've got a needle. And my plan is that I'm just going to thread all of the cayenne pepper right on to this string. And that way they take up space vertically instead. Now this is a pretty thick fishing line, so I think what I'm just going to do is punch a hole with the needle and then just go straight through with the fishing line. And I've got to get all these cayenne on there, so this could take a minute or so. I'm going to go through some place where there's plenty of meat because I don't want them to fall off. Here we go. And basically that's it. Any little pieces that fall off, I'll string on later. So I'll show you my cayenne string when it's done. All right, well, now we're right back out here at the smoker. I've got my 2 racks for peppers, and I also have the pellets at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on this first rack, from the bottom of it, I'm going to hang this hook full of peppers with the paper clip. There you go. Now you can see it. I've got peppers hanging there from the paper clip. Yeah, it looks like it's pretty close to the smoke. I might shorten the string a little bit. So hold on, let's see how that's going to end up.
It would be better if it was over there a little bit. This here. That's the first one. Let's take the second one off. That's the second here. This is an awkward view, I'm sure. I'm not even sure if you can see what I'm doing because I can't hold the camera and do this at the same time, so, the view is what the view is. Can't get this paper clip on. There we go. That's going through there. Around here. Hit the paper clip. There you go, that shortened it quite a bit. I can actually twist it up some. Yeah! Just dropped it. Well, you can't see squat because I'm stuck trying to hold this. I'm losing peppers. This is a problem. Alright. So, what I need to do is shorten. I don't know if you can see this. It's awkward. I'm going to shorten the string by tying this up like this. Because I don't want it to hang all the way down in the slick. And hang it like that. And I'm going to hang it right from the center of this rack. Now this rack is down between the top rack. It's still a bit... Right. I just don't really quite have enough space. Maybe I'll hang this on the side of the smoker. If I hang it here... Oh no, it's touching everything. Ah!
So much for a good idea. You know, you have a good idea, but no good way to execute. Well, I'm going to turn this camera off because I'm not getting any good footage and all you're seeing is me showing you the ground because I can't hold the camera and do this at the same time. But I'll show you when I get it done. Okay, so here's how it worked out. I put the green chilies on that first rack and then I was able to leave enough space in the center that I could hang the cayennes in the center of the green chilies. It doesn't matter if they're touching the rack. That's irrelevant. All that actually matters is that they have air circulation around them, which was the point of stringing them up. So this is perfect. I've got my green chilies on, I've got my cayennes in, and now I can go ahead and add my red peppers. The only downside really to this particular grill here, or set of racks, is that peppers are small and narrow and these racks only go one direction. There's going to be a few of these that don't go on real well because they're so small, but I'll probably just stack them on top of others in the end. If this would be a better situation if the rack was a grid instead, because then I would much easier be able to put my peppers on and they wouldn't fall through. So let's get these peppers on the grill racks here as best as I can. The little ones I'm just going to leave inside other peppers like that. They won't hurt anything there. They'll still get a bit of smoke and circulation. It'll be fine. See, these are going to be too small. They would fall right through if I allowed that. So I have to prop them up on other peppers. That might just barely, yep, that works. The last batch, believe it or not, while I didn't do any cayennes, I had more luchauer and I had more, well, maybe I had about the same amount, but I was only using the top rack. That's what the problem was, and everything was touching. It worked out just fine in the end, though, but I do prefer to have a bit of separation between them if I can. Air circulation equals smoke. So I'm going to pop that there and pop that there. And that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and light my tray and we'll be in business. All right, so here is the hole in the bottom. I'm not sure how well you can see in there, but there it is. I'm going to light this using my yard weed burner here. It seems like it's the best way. It has enough power to really light it up. I've tried to light it with just a plain old lighter and it's a big pain in the butt. Just doesn't get quite lit. So let's get this thing started. All right, here we go. Fire in the hole. Okay. Yep, she's lit. You can see it in there. Oh, whatever. Turn that off. Let's see if we can see in there that it's lit. You can see the coal ember glowing in there. That's all that's required. That's all this is going to do all day, is just glow and smoke. You can kind of see a haze rising off of it now already. The smoke's forming in there in the bottom, and I'm just going to leave this all day long. I'm going to put the lid on it. And that's it. It can hang out all day, and I'll take care of these later. Okay, so these peppers that you see here just came off of the smoker 2 minutes ago. I just went out and got them. They've been smoking all day long. I would say we started at around 10. Now it's around 8. So they've gotten a good amount of smoke. The smoke tray was pretty much done. So here's my chilies, here's my paprika peppers, and here's my cayennes. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to, let me set this down so that this video. I'm going to lay these out on these racks. These racks are what goes into my dehydrator. My dehydrator is currently running. I've got mushrooms in there, but I have space left for these peppers. So I'm going to start with my paprika peppers. I'm just going to lay these out on the rack. They should all fit just fine. These racks have cross grids, so I don't have to worry as much about the size of the peppers. Well, just to get it started and to see what happens, I'm going to take this tray of peppers that I filled up with paprika peppers. We'll take this in here. and I will feed it to my dehydrator. Currently, my dehydrator, like I said, contains mushrooms that I just put in it today. So it's obviously not empty. It's got plenty of time to go, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add these peppers, and I'm gonna do it the same with the other two varieties of peppers. So I'll be back to it in just a second. We're gonna do the same with the chilies and the cayennes. All right, so let's get these chilies on this tray. I went and I put a glove on. That way when I'm dealing with the chilies and the cayennes, after that, I will not have too much trouble. I'll just dump these out and then spread them. There's not too many of these, but I'm looking forward to seeing what a smoky chili powder does for flavor compared to just plain old chili powder. Also, I'm looking forward to comparing the flavor that I get from a green chili powder to my typical standard store-bought red chili powders. Although technically, a chili powder isn't a powder made of just chili peppers. A powder made of just peppers, or just red peppers anyway, is paprika. But chili powder doesn't mean it's made of just chilies. It just means that it is... Chili powder is a combination of spices that are used in chili. But anyway, so there's my green peppers. All right, and the last one I have to deal with is my string of cayenne peppers. What I think I might do is just quickly snip the end of that there and just kind of pull the peppers off. These were all bundled up on the string in the smoker. A couple of these pieces are actually quite small, and they're likely to fall right through the screen of the dehydrator tray. You know what I might do? Hold on. Be right back. I do have this grid that came with the dehydrator, and I think that especially for the smallest of these little pieces of pepper, having this grid here underneath them will help. Now this is my last available dehydrator tray right this second because I have peppers on the other three. My dehydrator holds 6 trays, so in spite of the fact that I said I didn't want any of these to touch, I'm gonna have to go back on my word for the cayenne. I can always separate them out a bit later. I'll put this here and spread these out as much as I can. Make them as flat as I can, but they're gonna touch just a little bit, at least for the first part of the dehydration process. I don't wanna just leave them out sitting around for days until I can get to them. It's gonna be 24 hours before I have an additional shelf in my dehydrator. So for now, we're just gonna do it like this. Yes, they're touching, but these are very small and very thin-walled peppers. So I think that in spite of that, they will dry okay anyway. So, let's go. Let's take this into the other room. I'm gonna take the glove off so I don't have that to deal with. Can we see? Yep, we can see. So I'm gonna take this tray of peppers, which is my last tray for today, into the other room. Set it down. Stuff it into the dehydrator. I think it's gonna go long ways like this. There we go. Top shelf it. So there you can see what I have in there. I've got my 3 trays of smoked peppers that I just did and 3 trays of mushrooms. And the mushrooms I got at the farmer's market today. And so they just started dehydrating as well. So I'll close this up and I'll leave this going, and we'll get back to the paprika in a day or so. Welcome back. As you can see, it was time to take my peppers that I just smoked out of the dehydrator. These are the green chilies. These are the paprika peppers. And these are my cayenne peppers. They look fantastic. What I'm gonna do with them right now is just take them and bag them up. I have this bag which has my paprika peppers in it, dried peppers from before. I have, you can see by the two different color tones. The bright red were fresh smoked and the dark red were smoked. So fresh versus smoked dried peppers. I also have similar bags for the other varieties of peppers that you see here. And so that's what I'm gonna do now, is bag them up and put them away. All right, well, the time has come that I'm gonna finally take these peppers here, which are my paprika peppers, and I'm gonna grind them up using this coffee grinder and into a spice blend, which I'm going to say is gonna be paprika. I haven't 100% decided yet if I wanna mix the plain peppers with the smoked peppers or do two separate sets of spices. So for now, I'm going to keep them in separate bowls. I'm gonna have a bowl of plain paprika powder and a bowl of spiced or smoked paprika powder. And well, let's just get started. So, as you can see, I've got my peppers here. I've got some smoked peppers that I made. I have a bag and a half of those. And I have my plain peppers here. I'm gonna start with the plain peppers. Really, this is so simple. I'm gonna put them in this spice grinder, just a little at a time. You don't wanna put a ton in there. And after that, so the first round turned out like that. It's not done yet. It obviously needs some more time in the grinder. It also, the powder coming up into my face is making me sneeze. I'm not 100% sure if it wouldn't have been better to do these in an actual food processor. I may try that as well. But for right now, I'm gonna take this, pour it through this strainer. Sift it out and toss the chunks back into the spice grinder. And round two. We'll go ahead and add some more peppers. And let's add all of them. Just tap this together, shake this down, take this out, and that's what happened. That's what it looks like now that I had, this was a full container and now it's that. So, keeping my face clearly away from that, I'm gonna dump this out. Now the cup of the spice grinder does come out of here. I could have just taken this off, but for right now, I'll just take it off when it's time to clean it. All right, so out of that round, that's all that's left. I'm gonna go ahead and pop it back in here and have another go at it. A little more got done that time. Really, it's the last few pieces that are the hardest to get because they just spin around in there instead of getting ground up. Ah! Don't want a big chunk in there. All right. It looks like I have almost the same amount as that I had before. Let's toss this back in. Go again. And I'll let you know when I'm done. All right, now that I've finished with the fresh paprika, which came out looking like that, I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to work on the smoked peppers, which smell amazing. So let's take the first load of smoked peppers and pop them into my spice grinder. I'm not going to lie, it takes a little bit of time with a spice grinder like this to get this done, but I think it's going to be worth the effort in the end. I'm trying this technique of pulsing it to see if it does a better job of getting more ground up at one time. And I will also turn this off and show you when I'm done. All right, so finished round one, and I'm about to take the lid off the container. And that's basically what I have for the first round of the smoked paprika. As you can see, there's plenty left in there, and I'm about to sneeze. Oh my gosh. It smells really great, but the powder in the air definitely makes me want to sneeze. So I'm going to go ahead and sift that out here into the bowl. Okay. Oh, it smells so good. All right, well, that's great. Well, in the interest of this channel, I'm going to go ahead and try and experiment now. Let me get my food processor out. Let's just set this here. Unplug the mixer. Plug this in. All right. Well, let's see if I can actually get any better results or any faster results from using the food processor. Like, if I don't like how it goes, I can always switch back to using the coffee grinder, which is usually how most people grind spices. So, obviously I can add a lot more to the food processor, so this might actually go faster. But it's possible that all I'll get is flake and not the powder that I'm looking for. So I definitely don't want piles of flake. So lid on. And getting warm in here because a big chunk of this actually just got stuck right here at the side. And it's been smearing around the food processor. So that doesn't really help. There we go. So now that I've loosened that up, I'll go ahead and keep going for a second or two now that it's moving freely. So let's go on a little bit further before I sift it out. The one thing I noticed about this is that it warms up while you're using it. Maybe because of the friction. I don't know that that's good for my spices, so let's move this back so you can see properly. As you can see, there's a lot of whole pieces here. And I don't feel like I'm actually sifting out that much into the bowl. I guess you can't see it because it's backwards too. You have to do it left-handed. I actually feel like while this chopped everything up, the spice grinder actually did do a better job. So I'm going to go back to the spice grinder. If I'll fit in there. All right, let's go. Well, you all know how this is going to go, so I will show you when I'm done. Okay, I'm done, and you can see that it was a little bit messy to do this. It also made me sneeze like a zillion times while I was working on this. In fact, I gave up and I went and I put on one of these COVID masks because I had to do something to keep the powder out of my nose and mouth. But anyway, right here you have fresh paprika. This is the fresh dried peppers. It's a mixture of luchar paprika peppers as well as Alma paprika peppers. Here you have smoked paprika. Same thing, but all the peppers have been smoked. And here is the leftover, the two leftover piles of flake, basically, that I have. I haven't decided whether I'm going to mix these yet or not. To be honest, they're probably fine mixed up, and it'll probably be a really good smoked paprika if I mix the two. But yeah, I'm going to do something with the powders right now, and I might take these two and just grind them up together and see if I can get more powder out of that. So let's see what happens. All right, so that entire bag full of peppers that I had dried and smoked, and this is what I ended up with. A jar, half cup, basically, of the regular fresh dried paprika peppers. A larger jar of the smoked paprika peppers. The leftover flake that I dried out ended up here as smoked mixed pepper. And here is the little bit of leftover flake that I didn't manage to grind up. So they are quite pretty, and I'm sure they will taste delicious. And that is it. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed my tutorial on how I made paprika. I'm not sure that I'm the absolute authority on that, but there it is. Give it a try if you like.